Good evening and welcome to the March 12th meeting of the Falmouth Conservation Commission. This meeting is being held virtually via Zoom video conference and is also being broadcast by FCTV on cable channel 9. As this meeting is being recorded by Zoom and broadcast by FCTV, please be cognizant of what you say, how you say it, and what can be seen and heard in your background. Betsy's under the weather tonight, but we have a quorum, so we're moving forward. And as a reminder for commenting, I'll call on each of you in turn, and that all votes have to be done by roll call. To our public attendees, at any time during this meeting, you may enter any comments or questions via the chat function. At the appropriate time, they will be read into the record. If, as an attendee, you'd like to participate in a particular hearing, let us know via the chat function. Then at the appropriate time, you'll be promoted into the hearing as a participant. When you are selected, you must have your video enabled, be succinct and respectful of others. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes each. Regarding RDAs, we're overwhelmed with them tonight, so hold your horses. Under a request for determination of applicability, the applicant is asking the commission to determine if the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and/or the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw apply to their proposed project. A negative determination is that the provisions of the Act and/or the bylaw do not apply. Therefore, the project may proceed as proposed. A positive determination means the provisions of the Act and/or the bylaw do in fact apply and/or may require some conditions. Therefore, the project would require a notice of intent application. So as an applicant, you actually want to hear us say something negative. All right, first up, vote minutes, February 26, 2025.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move approval of the minutes as written. Patton.
Second.
We have a motion and multiple seconds to accept the minutes as submitted for February 26. Questions or comments? All right, we're voting. Courtney.
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Ron.
Driscoll, aye.
Russ.
Robbins, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. With this quorum, we have accepted the minutes of February 26. Thank you, Kristen. Next up is a request for determination of applicability. First up, Tim Mackey, 15 Penzance Road, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to remove ornamental plantings and hardscape and to install native shrubs and grasses. Alyssa.
Staff recommends a -3 under the state and a -2 under the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
Bird, so move.
Driscoll, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. Questions or comments? We're voting. Courtney.
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Ron.
Driscoll, aye.
Russ.
Robbins, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have accepted staff's recommendation. Thank you, Alyssa and Fallon. Next up are requests for a hearing under a notice of intent. All hearings of the Falmouth Conservation Commission are held simultaneously under the authorities of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw. Although a single decision of the commission is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. As a reminder, public commenting is limited to 3 minutes. So I encourage you to stay within the purview of this board, which are the rules and regulations of the Wetlands Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw and how they pertain to a particular application. The chair reserves the right to stop any commenting that is disparaging or inconsequential to the hearing. First up, Weatherly Doris, Quisset Harbor Boatyard, 36 Quisset Harbor Road, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to reconstruct an existing licensed pier. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I am promoting Dave Martin to present this project.
Thank you. Where are you, Dave?
He's in.
You get off to a nice smooth start. Dave's gonna
Yeah.
mess it all up.
I am. So you hear me now?
Yep.
We can hear you.
Let's start the video when I hit. Now we got everything running again.
We can see you.
Hey, you're
So
up, sir.
I'll share my screen. Try to do that. This right here, share. Wow, look at that. Can everybody see that all right?
All set.
Yes.
All set. So we're here tonight to request your approval to reconstruct the inner half of this dock from this line to the concrete bulkhead. The remainder of the pier had been reconstructed some number of years ago, permitted, approved, and reconstructed. The work would take place, Schultz Marine with Ben Carson. They'll come in by a barge and do most of the work from the barge, remove the piles, remove the decking, remove the timbering, the crossballs, and replace the dock in kind. We've shown a debris boom around the work area. This is a town-owned bulkhead and gravel parking area, so probably some of that will be used for parking and things of that nature. While the plan is on the screen, are there any questions?
We'll poll everyone after you're done with your presentation, Dave.
I'll stop sharing then if you like.
Yeah, don't be upset if you have to bring it back up, but
Do my best.
all right. Jen,
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I don't believe we have many comments. Alyssa had requested that Dave show the boom on a plan, and Dave, you submitted a revised plan with that, correct?
I did.
This
yes.
afternoon? Perfect.
I-
We have a DEP number, so we're fine. We double checked on that. And obviously DMF comments will be incorporated. They want the piles removed in their entirety and not just cut below the mud line. And that's all, Mr. Chairman.
all right. Alyssa,
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
all right. Commissioner comments or questions? Courtney,
Pretty straightforward, no questions.
it is straightforward, isn't it?
Yeah,
Kevin,
no questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
all right. Ron,
No questions. It is straightforward. Thank you.
all right. Russ,
I'm good, Mr. Chair.
Steve.
Well said, thank you.
Hey, Jen, is there anything in the public chat function, please?
Nothing in the public chat, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman,
Dave,
I'll
you
make a
might-
motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Driscoll second.
Dave, you might set the record for the most expedient
Yes.
application. All right, we have a motion and a second to
Agenda,
close
so
the
it's probably
hearing.
trying to help.
All right, Jen, I asked you about public comments, correct?
Yes, you did, Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second to close the hearing. Last call, questions or comments? All right, hearing none, we're voting to close the hearing. Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Ron,
Driscoll, aye.
Russ,
Robbins, aye.
Steve.
And
It is unanimous. We have closed this hearing. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you all and have a good evening.
Good night, Dave.
Good night.
good work, Dave.
It's
All right,
time.
next up, Boyce Campson. I don't know if this is Acme or ACME, Falmouth, Mass. LLC, 278 Scranton Avenue, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to conduct maintenance and improvement dredging. Jen?
Yes, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman, Raoul, there we go. We will, unfortunately, this is the one that Raoul wanted us to take out of, to skip until his amended, but I do not see his colleague Jake, who's prepared for 0 Central. So I would suggest opening this hearing, and then Mr. Chairman will take the amended out of order before we go on to Central. So I am promoting Raul Lizardi from Cape and Islands Engineering to present his notice.
So since Jen just ruined the surprise for you, there's an amended order coming up later in the agenda. So we're gonna shake things up a bit, see who's sleeping. Just so that
Sorry,
you have,
Raul.
so that you have the whole.
For the record, we're
Um,
still on 278
Sorry, I
Scranton.
really didn't mean to interrupt everybody that's talking over me.
I'm sorry.
Never mind. Jen,
Yes, Kevin, we are at 278 Scranton Ave.
Mr. Lizardi, you're up, sir.
Good evening. For the record, Raul Lizardi from Cape and Islands Engineering, representing the applicant, and I think it's Acme, Falmouth MA LLC, the applicant and property owner for this project. Jen, if possible, and you can recognize either Boyce Kempson or Tim Cohen
I
from.
see a Tim Cohen.
If you could promote him, I believe Bob Hammond is in attendance as well.
Oh, Bob Almond. Okay, got it. I got Bob.
That-
I got you, Bob. And Tim Cohen. Okay. There
Thank
go,
you.
Raul.
So I will start with sharing my screen with your permission.
Yes, sir.
So this project is for a notice of intent to permit maintenance and improvement dredging at 278 Scranton Ave. This is the site of Falmouth Marine. Using the Falmouth GIS or topo maps, here's inner harbor, and this property is towards the bottom half of the harbor at this location. Looking at an aerial, this is what the harbor looks like. The property lines for this project are through here and over here. So this is the area that we are proposing to do dredging for. So we filed this plan for the application, and on the plan you see a rainbow colored kind of area in front of the bulkheads, and this is depicting water depths. The red areas towards the bottom side represents depths of greater than 10 feet. The yellows are depths of 9 feet. The greens are 7 to 8 feet, and this area over here is less than 7 feet. What the applicant wants to do is get depths of 7 feet throughout the marina. So we file another plan along with the main site plan, which is this one that I'm showing now. Now, this plan was produced to show the licenses in the past, starting in the 1940s to the 1970s, all the different permits that allowed dredging within the same areas. Even though we call that this area to the south is what we consider improvement dredging, we believe all of this harbor has been dredged in the past. However, we can't find a particular license that shows that this area was dredged to elevation -7. This area was dredged to elevation -8 in the past. This area was dredged to -8.7, and this area was dredged to -8.7. And again, we're just looking to recapture those depths to elevation -7, which is the crosshatch in green that we show in this area. So that's the project. I did receive the comments from DMF. We have no objection to the time of use restriction. We do propose a siltation curtain on the site throughout the whole project. This project, as we will explain later on, is in tandem with the whole marina reconstruction, and it's going to take place simultaneously. This area of dredging to the south is the dredging that this board approved for Nina's Marina last year. We do have, if I go back to the site plan, we have a couple of salt marshes on Nina's Marina's property, and we propose that the edge of the dredge is going to be 25 feet from those salt marsh. We do see that one of the recommendations from DMF is to also show 25 feet from mean low water. We asked this board not to allow for that as a condition because that will prevent some of the uses that the applicant wants to do for the piers at this location. So we do have approximately 15 to 10 feet setback from mean low water. And comparing it to the prior permit for Nina's Marina in this location, which was allowed to dredge all the way up to mean low water. And in similar way, last year, the project that was a dredge for across this harbor at this location for McDougal's, we're actually allowed to dredge all the way up to mean high water. But for that reason, we were asking this board to allow us to dredge to within 10-15 feet of mean low water and not adopt the 25-foot recommendation from DMF from mean low water. We do meet the 25-foot offset to mean low water to the salt marsh that DMF is recommending. I'll stop sharing, but I will continue with some addressing some of the comments from staff. So there is some sections in the local conservation regulation 10.25.5 and the state WPA 10.25.3. And what it is that the design of the dredging for improvement has to meet certain criteria and not be, in a sense, detrimental to the environment, not changing the topography of the harbor, not changing erosion or sedimentation to beaches, down coast beaches and things like that. So this project is proposed to be at 4-to-1 slopes to reach that elevation of -7, which is elevation that has been dredged at this site before. This work is not going to be changing the overall wave action that happens in the inner harbor. It's not going to be affecting or increasing flooding on the abutting property or anywhere else in this harbor. And it's not going to change temperatures or flushing and turbidity within the harbor. So we believe this project does meet those regulations of 10.25.3 from the state and 10.25.5 from the local bylaws. Overall, there is roughly 16,200 square feet of land under the ocean that is proposed to be dredged. With this dredge, 850 cubic yards is proposed to be trucked away. We're not keeping anything on site. We don't have the room to bury this material, so it is being trucked away. Of that 850 cubic yards, about 540 is within areas that is called maintenance dredging, and about 310 is improvement dredging. With that, if there's any questions, we'll be happy to answer.
Thank you, Raul. Bob, do you have anything to add at this point?
Not at this point, thank you.
All right. Tim, do you have anything to add at this point?
No, thank you. We just went through a very similar project at McDougal's, which Raul mentioned. It was successful, and we utilized Schultz Marine as our marine contractor, and Cape and Islands was involved in that project as well. This is slightly larger, but very similar in scope, and please let us know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Excellent. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I think the board will have to deliberate on the request to be no closer than that 25 feet is recommended by DMF. Other than that, we have no questions. The improvement dredging is a small part of this project, and I don't have any concerns with it at this time.
Okay. Alyssa.
No questions. Thank you.
All right, just to clarify, the 25-foot variance is to mean low water, not the salt marsh. Is that correct?
I believe so, right, Raul? Where's the salt marsh in there?
Correct. So DMF recommends two different 25-foot setbacks, one to the salt marsh and one to mean low water. We comply with the 25-foot to the marsh. What we're asking the board is not to condition to the mean low water.
Got it. Thank you.
But we should point out that we will be, I think it was 10 to 15 feet from the mean low water. So we're not proposing to be that close to it.
Thank you. Kevin,
No questions this time, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Ron,
Yeah, a question on dewatering. There's, I know most of it's going to be done on land and some is going to be done from a barge on the harbor. How are you going to dewater it in the barge? Is that going to be moved somehow onto land or is it dewatered right on the barge and then put back in the harbor?
So we have two options. So the dredge barge can do watering a certain amount of the material on the barge and then transfer it over to the trucks on land. But there's also a dewatering basin proposed on land between the building and the bulkhead. And some of that material is going to be done. It's going to be dewatered from that dewatering basin on land and then loaded into trucks and trucked away to final disposal.
Okay, I understand that, but how are you going to get the material from the barge to the land? Is that capable of doing it?
So it's a clam bucket, and it grabs the material and it places it either on the dewatering basin on the barge or on land.
All right, but the material in the barge, how does that get on land? How does that get disposed of after it's dewatered?
The same crane that runs.
The same crane is the one that moves it from one place to the other.
All right, so it has a reach.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's how we did at McDougal's.
Maybe I should ask that in the first place. Okay, thank you.
all right, you
All
good,
set,
Ron?
thank you.
All right. Russ,
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
all right. Steve,
No questions. Thank you.
all right. Courtney,
Where are the dredge spoils going?
We have yet to decide the final location. We're sampling the sediments to do the quality, all the testing that's needed for the water quality cert. Once we get that, we'll find out exactly where we're going to go.
I mean, because the odds are they've got some contamination in them. That's
Right. So depending on the results, there are certain sites that accept the disposal. So we'll have to figure that one out.
Okay. No other questions?
thank you. Jen, is there anything in the public chat function, please?
Nothing in the public chat.
All right, you said we have a DEP number?
We do.
I'll make a motion to,
I have one more comment.
Sure.
Thanks. One of the DMF comments, the last one, is about the potential for fuel spills on the upland. And there are two sentences which are somewhat contradictory. And I just think that the language, when it's written up, ought to be cleaned up. One sentence says that all land-based equipment should be prohibited from being refueled on site. And the next sentence says, if equipment is refueled on site, adequate containment methods should be utilized. So one says don't do it, the other says how to do it. And so I just would recommend that that language be made a little clearer. And I don't know whether any of the equipment, such as that crane, will need to be refueled on site, but I think that's probably likely. And therefore, I think the second sentence should apply, and we shouldn't be in violation of the previous sentence.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Court.
So David, if I understand you, or Bob, if I understand you correctly, you would include both pieces of information in the order condition?
No, he's saying to pick the latter.
I'm sorry?
He's saying to allow fueling, but with safety measures.
Yeah, so you incorporate both. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Driscoll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to close the hearing. Last call, questions or comments? We're voting to close this hearing. Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Ron,
Driscoll, aye.
Russ,
Robbins, aye.
Steve.
And
It is unanimous. We have closed this hearing. Now, Jen, this is where we're gonna move something around, right?
Correct, Mr.
All
Chairman.
right, so the next one, so we're gonna skip around a little bit for this one item, so pay attention here. We're gonna jump to request to amend an existing order of conditions, and it's for the same property, so we're trying to do it so that while it's all fresh in your minds, because this is such a long meeting. So I'm going to read the legalese, which is Boyce, Campson, Acme, Falmouth, Mass, LLC, 278 Scranton Avenue, Falmouth, Mass. Request to amend the order of conditions for Mass DEP number 25-4779 to reconfigure the layout of the previously approved marina. So just to be clear, this is an existing order of conditions that we're talking about. So Jen, or do you want Raul to start?
Raul's still with us from Cape and Islands Engineering to
Yeah,
present his
okay.
separate project on this property this evening. And I'm assuming Bob and Tim are going to remain. As well.
Thank you.
Good evening. For the record, Raul Lizardi with Cape Island Engineering representing the applicant, Acme Falmouth, MA, LLC. With us also is Tim Cohen from Acme and Bob Ammon, representatives for the applicant. If I could reshare my screen.
Yes, sir.
So as the chairman mentioned, this is to amend an existing order of condition, 254779. In the past, we filed an application to reconfigure the marina, and it included several components of the marina. But this amendment is just to revise the actual footprint of the floating piers. We have a fixed pier at this location, two actually, which is a travel lift. Those two fixed piers are not proposed to be revised. All the other floating piers and a couple of fixed piers, which the permit currently has this one as a fixed pier and this portion as a fixed pier. Those fixed portions are not proposed any longer. What the applicant wants to do is, like I mentioned, keep these two fixed piers for the travel lift, but then all the other piers are going to be floating piers in this configuration. The half to the north is kind of similar to what was approved before. It's a main pier with fingers piers coming off of them. To the very north side, which is the ferry pier, that one is moved slightly closer to the property line at this location. And then the south 1/3 of the marina, the floating piers, is completely different. We have this combination of like a inverted E shape and C floating pier system that is completely different than what was proposed and approved before. Compared to existing condition, this marina still reduces the overall footprint of total piers by approximately 276 square feet. It also reduces the number of piles and the footprint of these piles on land under the ocean of approximately 151 square feet. So we believe it is a great improvement over what's currently existing, and it will be easier and better for the applicant to operate the marina. And in this layout, you can see actually better why we're asking for the dredging in the prior application for this floating piers at this south location. So we need the actual depths at this location just to connect one project or one application with the other. So that's the amendment that we're asking for. And if there's any questions, we'll try to answer.
All right, thank you. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Usually the board, when looking at marinas, takes the marina, the footprint of the marina, and has allowed in other cases for the piers to be reconfigured. So I believe this is kind of within what the board has permitted before when it comes to marina expansions, both in Falmouth Inner Harbor and elsewhere in town. So I have no comments or concerns. Thank you.
All right. Alyssa?
No comments, thank you.
So we kind of need to approve the dredging for this configuration to work. I see what you did, Raul. I got your number. All right. Commissioner comments.
Exactly.
Ron.
All set, thank you.
We can't hear you, Jamie.
Your microphone's gone bad.
I don't know what happened.
Oh, there you
All
are.
right, there you are.
I don't know. I don't know what I did.
Uh,
Russ, comments or questions?
I'm good, Mr. Chairman.
Steve,
Nice presentation, Raul. No questions. Thank you.
Courtney,
I presume the harbor master's fine with this?
So we filed with the harbor master. I have not seen a new letter. I do know that he did issue a letter in 2022 for the original order of conditions, and he had no objections, but I haven't seen a new one for this application.
Yeah, I mean, clearly you're gonna need to, if he's on board with it, I'm fine with it. That's my only concern. No
And-
questions.
Yeah, like Jen mentioned, it is within the zone of reconfiguration that was approved last time. So that was reviewed the same as before.
Yeah, I mean, we can always condition the order to make sure that letter is in the file. That's all. No other questions.
all right. Kevin,
No questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
all right. Jen, is there anything in the public chat function, please?
Nothing in the public chat, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Anything else from the applicant side? All right. What are you thinking, folks?
I'll make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Driscoll second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to close the hearing. Last call. Questions or comments? We're voting to close the hearing. Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Ron,
Driscoll aye.
Russ,
Robbins, aye.
Steve.
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. We have closed this hearing. Thank you, Raul. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Raul.
Happy night.
Thank you, Bob, Tim.
All right, we're going back to our previously written agenda. Next up, our continued requests for hearing under a notice of intent. First up, Ronaldo Andrade, 0 Central Avenue, map and parcel ID is 32-04-004-002, East Falmouth, Mass. For permission to construct a single-family dwelling and install a Title V sewage disposal system on an undeveloped lot. And before anybody starts, I have a question, Jen. This map and parcel ID, is that for the entire subdivision that has not been divided yet?
It has
This is
not
not a
been
yes.
divided.
Right. So this doesn't identify the individual property. Oh, boy. All right, Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have promoted Jake Frick from Cape and Islands Engineering to present his project.
Jake, you with us?
I am. I am here.
There he is. You're up, sir.
All right. Good evening. My name is Jake Fricky. I'm professional land surveyor with Cape and Islands Engineering, representing Ronaldo Andrade for the project on Central Avenue. We filed a notice of intent application DEP number 25-5050 to reconstruct or to construct a dwelling on the property. And with your permission, I would like to share my screen.
Yes, sir.
This is, as you stated, a continuation of the hearing on February 26th. Board comments at that hearing focused primarily on the restoration planting being partially on a separate proposed lot and the recommendation for a IA septic system. Revised plan was submitted to conservation last week, addressing some the client comments and some client modifications as well. This plan includes the IA system, a row of privacy screening along the property line in this area. And the house was modified to include a slightly larger deck and a pool and patio per client request. After lengthy discussions with the client about his plan for this parcel, it became clear to us that he was unsure of exactly how he wanted to proceed with the subdivision. And based on this, the subdivision work on our end has been completely put on hold as the client wants to focus his resources and efforts on the house project. In light of that, we are not showing the proposed property lines as we were before and recommend that the restoration planting be installed concurrently with the installation of the limit of work to eliminate any question about the timing of when the plants will be installed. Based on questions that came up in a Zoom meeting with conservation staff on Wednesday, 3/5, we staked the revised design in the field and scheduled a site visit the following Monday, 3/10, to review the design and the site conditions. We had a lengthy discussion at the site on Monday with staff, which reiterated staff comments, which was reiterated in staff comments provided yesterday. Following that discussion with conservation on site, we made some revisions to the plan, which is the plan that I'm presenting here tonight. A copy of this plan was sent to staff earlier today. The differences between the plan submitted on Wednesday and the plan submitted today are as follows. The deck running along the easterly side of the property here has been redesigned as requested and replaced by 2 sets of steps coming off of the house. At the closest point, these steps are 13 feet from the limit of work and 14 feet from the FWR A zone. One of the dry wells has been increased in capacity and moved in such a way so that it can also double as a pool drawdown. And the drainage system in the driveway has been assessed and moved into the driveway for ease of installation, and we can confirm that it is designed to handle a 25-year storm. At this point, I will stop sharing my screen and be happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Jake. Jen.
Okay. Jake, yes, we did ask for some revisions on the plan, but the board has not seen this plan. And we got this plan at 1:30 this afternoon, so we have not looked at it. Yes, it does appear that you have incorporated some design changes that I suggested, and I appreciate that. But in the future, I'm not and will not accept a plan the day of a hearing to be presented to this board at the hearing. It's unfair to the board because they haven't seen it. I do appreciate you making those design changes, but it's really kind of hard for us to review something the day of a hearing and not have the board review it as well. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I mean, my comments and questions, I'm going to still have the same. I don't know how you want to proceed. If you want to proceed, I can comment on what I can, but this will need a continuance so we can review the plan.
Yeah, it's tough for us to comment and question something we haven't seen. Courtney, wait your turn.
So, I mean, I can comment on the driveway portion. So Jake did revise the plan based on comments that we had in the field. They restaked, they had enlarged the deck and put the pool in, and we really did have concerns about basically almost shoehorning this house into that small space because there were several large trees along the limit of work within your no disturbance zone A to the salt marsh that would have to be either removed or altered for the construction of this house. Jake, I don't even have a hard copy of the new plan, so how far is the closest point from the house to that limit of work, that no disturbance zone A?
It's 13 feet from these from these steps here.
I don't know what steps you're talking about. I don't have a plan.
Can you see my screen? Oh,
No.
No.
would you like me to share it again?
Yes.
Please.
All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we
Yes,
can.
sir.
All right. So it's this set of steps here coming off of the house is the closest point to the limit of work, and it's 13 feet there to the limit of work, and it's 14 feet to the A zone line, which is just beyond the limit of work line.
Okay. Again, okay, you can stop sharing, Jake. Again, I appreciate you making the revisions, and it does look like what we discussed in the field, but I'm going to give you a pass on this one, Jake, but don't ever do that again, because you're going to need the continuance anyway, because we just have it. Staff has to do our due diligence, and the board does need to see the hard copy. That said, the board also needs to determine whether or not you're going to allow a construction of a driveway up and over that coastal bank. The only time I've seen the board do something, permit something similar has been when there has been an existing house or some sort of structure. So although there is a path that they are proposing to revegetate, that path, we can't find any permitting history on the path. So the board will need to determine whether or not you are going to allow the driveway up and over that coastal bank. This is a fairly large property. Obviously, there was some proposal to, obviously, you know, there's some thought into possibly subdividing the property. So there is, you know, room to pull that house off from way down on deep into that property and pull it further into more the middle of the property to avoid construction of the driveway on the coastal bank. But that's all I can do right now, Mr. Chairman, without seeing a revised plan and revised staking in the field.
Okay. Alyssa.
Thank you. Just one follow-up comment. If the commission did share in the staff's concerns regarding some of the larger trees located just inside the Zone A, past the limit of work, something we have required in the past is maybe the first 10 feet into the Zone A actually surveying the mature trees in the area, just so we have a record of them on paper. It's something that helps the staff when compliance comes along in assuring that those are still present on the property. If the commission was interested in having something like that with a continuance, that could be added to the plan. Thank you.
All right. Courtney, before your hand falls off.
I just, I think as in my role as resident curmudgeon, I think we should continue this for a week or so to allow staff to ruminate on what's been put in front of us, and then we can properly deal with it.
Yeah. All right. Does anybody else have any comments or questions? Ron?
Yeah, just what are their options on that driveway going over the coastal bank? Is it allowed or not allowed, or is there some sort of engineering that can be done? You know,
Well,
I'm thinking out of the box. Can you put a driveway? Can you put up an air? Can a bridge in? Can you go over the bank? Can you go over
Well,
the
it's going to
coastal
be up to the board, Ron. It is an actual coastal bank. It's an actual
Yeah.
resource area. I have seen reconstructions of driveways, but again, that's to access a house that was existing. The other option is to relocate the proposed house. This is a how many acre property?
Huge.
There is plenty of room
for
further
one house.
toward the street.
Yeah.
On the other side of the coastal bank to locate a house. The house
Yep.
does not have to be down this far.
Absolutely understood. I'm just curious about, you know, again, I've been here a year, but I haven't seen this one before. And again, we put piers, or we put ramps over the salt marshes to get to a pier. I don't know if this is any different to do it here. Just thinking. That's all.
Mhm.
Oh, there you go. Thinking again. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's rare that we'd allow something like that. This is a case where, you know, they have the land to do it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know they're trying to subdivide the property into, I think it was 4 lots, but maybe it can only be 3. And at the risk of sounding like I'm designing their project, you know, maybe the lots 3 and 4 or the last 2 get merged. But that's
Okay.
not for us.
right,
We really
thank
need to see the revised plan to, you know, to really make an educated decision, you know. Any other comments or questions? All right, Courtney, don't be repetitive. What do you got?
No, I think if we're looking at something like this, obviously the question is, can we as a board make a finding that is unique to this situation to allow it? It's just that when we do that, do we open a door to a lot of dangerous precedents? Having been on this board for a number of years, sometimes when we make these evaluations based on site conditions, they come back to bite us later on when somebody else finds another situation and they point to this. So, you know, I think we have to be very careful about how we do proceed, which is all the more reason why we need a continuance to kind of work through these things.
How long have you been on the board?
Huh?
How long have you been on the board?
Since about
20 years.
2003.
20 years?
Over 20.
Ooh,
You're almost ready for retirement.
Yeah, I know.
All right. So
You and I
always
both,
say,
Jamie.
you know, you have to look at a property under its own merits. And you're right, we have to be careful of setting a precedent. So it's something we have to think about as a board and see what we would allow or not. You know, it's just tough when, you know, when you have this much acreage, it's tough to be sympathetic to the location, you know. I mean, I'm just speaking for myself. So,
Yeah.
All right. So, Jake, you have a request for us?
Yes, I request continuance. I would like it to be next week, but I don't think that you guys are actually meeting next week.
No.
We're not
Yeah.
meeting next week, Jake, and the 26th. If I put anything else on the 26th, the chairman will probably call for my head. So you're looking at April 2nd. Sorry.
Whoa. All right. Well, I guess it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Jake. I know you incorporated the comments we made on the field, and I really appreciate that. But these guys needs to see the plan as well. Sorry.
All right. Such is life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But thank you for making those revisions, and we'll look at them carefully next week. So yeah, April 2nd is the best I can do for you, Jake. Sorry.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll take April 2nd then.
Thank you.
At the request of the applicant, I move that we continue this hearing until April the 2nd.
Fiscal 2nd.
April the 6th.
Second.
Second.
Two.
Oh,
Two.
April 2.
yeah. Okay.
Day after the Fool's Day.
Oh,
All right, we have a motion and a second to
confident.
continue this till April 2nd. Last call. I'm sorry, I skipped a step. Jen, is there anything in the public chat function?
Nothing in the public chat, Mr. Chairman.
Sorry about that. All right, we have a motion and a second to continue this till April 2nd. Last call. Questions or comments? We're voting on the continuance. Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Ron,
Fiscal eye.
Russ,
Robbins, aye.
Steve.
And
It is unanimous. We have continued this until April 2nd. Thank you, Jake.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening, guys.
You
Thank
too,
you.
Jake.
Next up, a request to amend an existing order of conditions. First up, Town of Falmouth, various waterways and beaches. That's sufficiently vague. Falmouth, Mass. Request to amend the order of conditions for Mass DEP number 25-4717 to add an improvement dredging site, alter 3 channels, and recategorize a nourishment site and a dewatering site. Wow, that was a mouthful. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have promoted Leslie Fields from the Woods Hole Group up to present the project, as well as Greg Frazier, the town's Director of Marine and Environmental Services and the town's Harbor Master.
Excellent. Good evening, Leslie. Are you starting or is Greg starting?
I'm happy to start unless Greg, you want to give a preface to this. All right, I'll start. I'm going to share my screen if that's all right, Mr. Chairman.
Please. Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes, we can.
Oh, okay. Yep, it's fixed now. So go ahead, Leslie, and I'll answer any questions.
Okay, all right. All right, are you guys looking at my presentation?
No.
We're looking at Nova Scotia,
Your
I think.
screen.
Screensaver.
Okay,
A nice one.
Here we are.
how about this? This is good?
Yeah.
Better.
Yes.
All right, so this is a request. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Wait a minute. Now what do you see?
Amendment overview.
Overview.
I like that. Jump to the important stuff.
All right, wait a minute. I'm just going to stop and start over. I'm sorry. All right, is this full screen?
It's close enough.
Close enough, Les.
All right, request to amend an order of conditions. Just an overview. The Conservation Commission issued an order of conditions, SE 254717 back in 2022 for dredging and beach nourishment at various waterways throughout the town. We want to amend that order of conditions by adding Megansett Beach as a temporary dewatering area for use while dredging Megansett Entrance Channel, which is totally in the town of Bourne, and for which we already have an order of conditions. We also want to deepen the Great Pond Outer Channel, narrow the Great Pond Inner Channel, and then deepen the Great Pond Outer Channel. So Megansett, I'm just going to go through each one of them, each site. So Megansett Beach, temporary dewatering basin, we're adding a 12,000 square foot temporary dewatering basin at Megansett Beach, as I said, for sandy material only, dredged from Megansett Harbor Approach Channel. So we had 3 borings out there. We know that that material is all sandy. That channel was approved by the Falmouth Conservation Commission, I don't know, a couple of months ago. So we're good on that front. And we just want this temporary dewatering basin to pump the material into. Once it's dewatered, it'll be trucked off site to probably the town's, either another beach that has permits or the town's composting facility where it'd be stored there until it's needed for a beach. And then the site will be restored. Okay, so you guys looking at the plan right now, Megansett Beach dewatering plan?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So here's a picture of the dewatering basin. There's the parking lot over here, the bulkhead, and here's the jetty that goes out here. So it takes up most of the beach, but it's still above the high tide line. Here's a cross section of it. As far as the dewatering goes, we could either just let it sort of build up a berm, excavate this hole, build up a berm right here to hold the water, hold the slurry, and then let it sort of drain out over the beach naturally. Or we could also put in a pipe to allow some of that water to drain after it's been dewatered. And that'll be sort of a game decision, at the time we do the work, and we'll work with the Barnstable County Dredge to make that decision. Great Pond, outer and inner. We're going to deepen Great Pond outer channel to -9 at mean low water with 1 additional foot of allowable overdepth dredging. And then we're also reducing the width of the inner channel to 50 feet. So we're reducing impacts at the inner channel by 55,000 some odd square feet. The reason we're doing this is because frequently the town has to request incursions into the time of year restriction for marine fisheries. And we have been asked by DMF to try to go deeper in the hopes that it will reduce the frequency of maintenance dredging. So if we don't have to come back as often, maybe it's every other year, every third year, then that's fewer requests to dredge during the time of year restriction for marine fisheries. So this is the outer channel we're doing at Great Pond. The inner channel is on the north side of the road. That's this right here. We're reducing that again from about 50 or 60 feet wide to only 50 feet wide. And it was determined that that's all that we need in that area to maintain safe navigation. Here's the cross sections again. So we're going down to minus 9 with 1 foot of over depth dredging in the outer channel. This material here is pumped over to the End Seasons Resort Beach, which is also a part over here over here to the west of the channel. And that's already been permitted. Green Pond, we're just deepening the outer part of the channel from -8 or to -8 at mean low water with 1 foot of allowable over depth dredging for the same reason, want to reduce the frequency of maintenance dredging. So it's just this part right here, the outer channel, again, going 1 foot deeper than what we have now. So down to -8 with 1 foot of over depth. No changes to the inner part of the channel here. And this is just a cross section showing the dredge depth -8 down to -9 with over depth. That's the cross section of this material gets taken to Acapesca again on the west side of the entrance. And then we just listed here the resource area. So land under the ocean, coastal beach for the nourishment sites, land containing shellfish, land under fish runs, estimated habitats of rare wildlife. That's only the 2 inner channels, so Great and Green Pond inner channels. We do have a number of time of year restrictions. We're at this point proposing to adhere to all those, although it is common for Great and Green Pond for the town to request incursions into that time of year for winter flounder, which starts January 15th and ends August 31st. I think that's it for the presentation, and I apologize that I wasn't in full screen mode. But I'm going to end the slideshow and I'll open to questions.
Thanks, Leslie. Jen.
Thanks, Les. I'll start with the easy one. I don't know why my background's so dark. How with these deepened channels, I don't have any concerns with them, but how much time is that gonna buy us, do you think? Or is it gonna be every other year that we go in now, or every 2 years? Do we have any idea?
I don't think we really have we can't give you a really good answer on that, but the hope is that it would be every other year, because right now they're basically dredging them almost every year.
Every year, yeah. I'm well aware of that. Okay. And back to Megansett, for the board, there was a prohibition of using Megansett in the original dredge permit. There was concern by the neighbors that Megansett just it's stable. It doesn't need sand. This is just to dewater the sandy material, and we need to stress that it can only be sandy material only, no silty material to be dewatered on the beach. That said, Leslie, the use of the pipe,
February 2/26.
would that cause any sort of, localized scouring, where the pipe is placed closer toward the water line?
Yeah, no, I mean, it would be deeper than that, so it wouldn't cause any scouring. It'd be, exit below the water line. I honestly don't think that the county dredge would use that method.
Okay.
But we wanted to include it because it is a little bit more sort of intrusive, and if they did choose to do that, we wanted everyone to know about it.
Okay.
But it would exit the water down below the water line, and so there wouldn't be any sort of scour.
Okay, so we could probably just condition it to, if they are to use that method, to let us know, and we can meet out there with the county dredge and see what their operation is.
I think that's a really good, that'd be a great condition to add.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Alyssa.
No comments. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner comments and questions. Russ, we're going to start with you.
I've got nothing, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Steve.
No comments, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right. Courtney.
No questions.
Okay. I think it's good revision to the project. Kevin.
No questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Ron.
I'm all set. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Mr. Frazier, I didn't mean to ignore you. Do you have anything you'd like to add at this point?
No, just that we're very hopeful that that the DMF recommendations of digging deeper will result in less dredging, because as Jennifer knows, we just today got this year's time of year waiver to allow dredging to proceed in Great Pond and Green Pond. It's an annual event for us, so we're hoping we don't have to do that in the future.
Let's hope. All right. Jen, is there anything in the public chat function, please?
Nothing in the public chat, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
I'll make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Driscoll second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to close the hearing. Last call. Questions or comments? We're voting to close the hearing. Courtney.
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Ron.
Driscoll, aye.
Russ.
Robbins, aye.
Steve.
And aye.
It is unanimous. We have closed this hearing. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Frazier.
Good night,
Thank you.
everyone.
Night, Les.
Night.
Greg, can you stick around just in case the board has any questions on that extension request?
Sure.
Thank you.
All right, next up, the next one we had already closed because we took that out of order, make sure everybody was paying attention, and you all passed. Thank you. Next up, request to extend an existing order of conditions. First up, Town of Falmouth, Greg Frazier. It's a Greg Frazier night. Harbor Master, 0 Town Landing Road map. He is 32-21-015-000. Falmouth, Mass. DEP number 25-4432, requesting a 3-year extension. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the staff is recommending a 3-year extension. This is the boat ramp over at CPIT, correct, Greg? And Horsley and Witten is currently working on drainage improvements to that parking area, which is great, but that might affect the boat ramp design. So we need to wait for Horsley and Witten to finish permitting their drainage, because we may or may not have to amend the boat ramp project. So this is the boat ramp that the board saw a few years ago for the CPIT River boat ramp. So we are recommending a 3-year extension on this one.
Okay. Questions or comments? All right, what are you thinking?
I'll move to grant a 3-year extension.
Driscoll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the table to take staff's recommendation of granting a 3-year extension. All right, we're voting on the extension. Courtney.
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Ron.
Driscoll, aye.
Russ.
Robbins, aye.
Steve.
And aye.
It is unanimous. We have granted a 3-year extension.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
All right, next up, Robert J. and Natalie Colgan, 133 Fay Road, Falmouth, Mass. DEP number 25-4528, requesting a 1-year extension. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we are recommending a 1-year extension.
All right, questions or comments?
Yeah, why do they need it?
They're still finishing up the project, Court.
Plantings and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion to extend a 1-year, grant a 1-year extension.
Driscoll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation of a 1-year extension. We're voting on the extension. Courtney.
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Ron.
Driscoll, aye.
Russ,
Robbins, aye.
Steve?
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. We have granted a 1-year extension. Thank you. All right, next up, continued hearings under an enforcement order. I'm going to read off the first one and the second one because we're going to hear them simultaneously. Everybody clear on that?
Yep.
First up, Patrick Burke, trustee, Church Street Trust, 158 Church Street, Falmouth, Mass. Unpermitted removal of vegetation within the buffer to a coastal bank. And John Cook, trustee, John C. Cook, 2009 Trust, 170 Church Street, Falmouth, Mass. Unpermitted removal of vegetation within the buffer to a coastal bank. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have promoted both property owners, John Cook and Patrick Burke, as well as Johnson Sears from Francisco Tavares to address the enforcement issue, which Alyssa can brief the board on.
Excellent. Alyssa?
Thank you. Yes, so the enforcement before you was reported to staff in the form of a complaint. Someone had driven by, noticed that a lot of vegetation right off of Church Street had been either mowed or just cut very, very short. Staff was able to send out some letters to the homeowners and arrange a site visit to confirm. Staff did receive a plan from Merrill Engineering, which I have shared with the board previously, showing the extent of the clearing, and a solid portion of it does fall within your jurisdiction, both the A and B buffer to the coastal bank along the water. John here will be working with the homeowners to develop a restoration plan and restore what has been removed. There are some invasives making their way into the area, so the staff would recommend that the invasives, at least within jurisdiction, are treated, eradicated to the extent we usually see prior to replanting taking place. In review of aerial photos, staff did find a second violation at 158. Just as a note to the board, you will see that as an upcoming RDA on a future hearing to replant what has been removed on that site. And that's all I have.
All right. Seems pretty cut and dry. Let's see, do the homeowners or Mr. Searles, do you want to comment at this point?
Good evening. Yes, we would. For the record, my name is Jonathan Searles with Francisco Tavares. I'll be helping with the two homeowners here, trying to rectify the problem. As mentioned, this was an accident basically performed by an uneducated landscape company who continued to mow into this area. We did meet on site and we spoke of some different remedies that we came up with. What our clients would like to try and do is just to allow it to grow back to as it was. As Alyssa pointed out, it is actually all invasives, and our concern is trying to fight the invasives and replant it with new plant material is just going to fail. There's areas that were not cleared that are still there, that are still covered within the grapevine, and we feel that's just going to continue to want to take over. I've been monitoring the area through the last few rainstorms. There's been no washout as the root mass is all still there. The company that did this work had brush mowed everything down. The larger area is the B zone. There is one property that has a larger A zone that has been cleared. We're basically proposing either netting, seeding, trying to stop any additional erosion, potentially a limit of work fence, and maybe allowing the enforcement order to stay open if we didn't see proper growth coming back of these areas, and then proceeding forward with an enforcement order. The clients did not gain anything from this other than actually a loss of their privacy. Both their properties sit much higher up, and this was to be a cleaning of the area down bottom, not into the zone, but the landscaper continued to go and cleared too much. So what we're trying to propose is allowing this material to come back, maybe installing some some delineation marks of these zones. I feel if we're going in there to try and eradicate all the invasives, it's going to turn into a very large potential erosion condition. Like Janet pointed out, right on the road edge there. So with the mass that's been there and the lack of erosion that we've seen through these rainstorms, I feel that it growing back would probably be our best form going forward. I don't know if the homeowners or Jonathan, the Papaloni, the lawyer, if he's also in the room, has anything else they want to add.
Okay, I'm going to promote Jonathan Poloni. I did not realize Jonathan was here as well for this project. Hello, Jonathan.
Good evening. Hi. Yes, Jen, I have not had a chance to speak with you about this. I've had some preliminary conversations with the property owners. I don't think I have too much to add to what Jonathan Searles has presented tonight. I think he appropriately captures the owner's feelings. This was a mistake. But I think that in terms of restoring things to the original conditions, it does seem like there are some benefits that would accrue to allowing things to regrow. But I'm sure that the commission has some strong feelings about that. I think at the least, there might need to be a better understanding of what's actually there right now, what root structures are in place right now. Because I think really the question that comes to my mind is what is the right method to address in this area? And it does seem pretty extreme to go in and grub everything out and try and replant everything, which is certainly not the original conditions that were there.
Is that all, Jonathan?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Alyssa, did I ask you? I'm sorry.
I don't have any initial comments at this time.
Okay. All right. Commissioner comments for the record. I'm recusing personally.
Mr. Chairman, can I offer one comment since I haven't?
Sure.
I don't recommend you allowing it to regrow. This was a violation. If you were to go down this road, talk about a can of worms should be opening up. We'd have people mowing down invasives all over the place and saying, oh, I'll just let it grow back. The board has never just allowed the invasives to grow back. It was, it is a violation. I would recommend that at the very least, the zone A, how far does the zone A go on, Alyssa?
I don't have the plan in front of me. It was only electronic.
So we would need to look at Tim's plan, a hard copy of the plan, at least the zone A, at the very least. There are methods to protect those new plantings from invasives. We see it all the time with either root barriers and or mow strips. So we see mitigation and restoration plantings right up to neighboring properties that are a sea of invasives, and somehow those plantings manage. So I would caution the board to just allowing it to grow back. That's all.
Can I make one comment?
Sure.
This is Jonathan Poloni again. The one thing that I wanted to point out here, because I know that there's several other projects that have been improved in this area around Church Street. But this particular property, these two properties rather, are, I think, much more impacted by the wind and the other impacts onto this coastal area. I mean, you can see when you drive by that everything is really blown over. And I think that's where some of the concerns about how you're going to restore this area under these particularly harsh conditions. Around the corner, there's been a fair amount of clearing of vegetation underneath other cover, other juniper type trees, and further around there's rather large oak trees. Grass has been planted underneath those in those areas, but those are all in the lee they're much more protected zones. And on this side, to me, it seems like there's a pretty good reason why this whole area has been predominantly invasive. I think if you want us to kind of sit down, again, I haven't had a chance to talk with Jen about this project yet. And we can try and figure out some good areas to put things in. I myself would like to see more documentation about what plants are actually there. Because if it is predominantly invasive species that have been cut, I certainly understand your concerns about precedent, but in terms of the regulations, restoring to the original conditions, I think we need to be mindful of what are we trying to correct and how are we going to do that in the most appropriate way so that we're not causing more problems than we're trying to solve. So I think that the property owners certainly want to make things right and and acknowledge that this was a mistake, that obviously they own the property, so they control that regardless of how it came about. But let's try and figure out an appropriate remedy for this that actually solves the problem.
One comment to that. 158 went through a major mitigation and restoration project several years ago. Those plants survived. So it's not that much of a wind tunnel that things can't grow. That's all I have.
Right. I think that even for that area, it's not as jutting out as this particular area is, but it is the Conservation Commission's assessment of that.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Burke, I see you have your hand raised. Can you turn on your audio and video, please?
Go ahead. No, Burke, I'm sorry.
Hi, Pat Burke, landowner, 158 Church Street. Jen, I think you make a good point. I just wanted to point out or clarify, and John can back me up on this, that we have had very little luck growing down in that area outside of those zones when we've tried to plant evergreens around the electrical boxes and whatever they are, transformers. We're probably on our third round of evergreens. We've also, anything above the tree line suffers. In the tree line, I mean those slanted trees Jonathan mentions. If you go by our properties, they look like they're at 30-degree angles from all the wind. So it will be very difficult to get things to grow and be healthy over time in that area. We just get severe winds. That's all I wanted to add.
All right. All right, Commissioner comments and questions. Steve, we're going to start with you.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Cook has his hand up.
All right, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Mr. Cook, turn on your audio and video, please.
Am I on audio?
Turn your video on, please.
I think I'm on audio. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Mr.
We can
Cook.
hear, we can't see you. Okay. Sorry about that.
There you are.
Yeah.
Thank you.
John Cook, 170 Church Street. The only other thing I'd like to add to Pat's point about things difficult growing now, the previous owner of my property planted and it tried to irrigate extensively along the front a row of plants as well that were part of a plan. And we tried to water those extensively to try to do it, and none of those plants survived. And that's in the exact same area basically as this is. So I'm just trying to add a little bit more color to Pat's point about how difficult it is for things to grow there.
All right, continuing with commissioner comments. Courtney.
I know this is a very exposed area. And I understand the issue with the invasives now. It's been suggested that you were concerned about rooting the invasives out and that would create an erosion problem and so on. But I mean, to me, if you were to use an herbicide that allowed you to keep the root mass intact, that would hold the soil while you got rid of the invasives, and then you could plant. That's the first thought. The second question I have is, before all of this was cut down, how high were was this growth area? Does anybody know?
It's approximately chest height.
Huh?
Approximately chest height.
Okay.
5 feet, 4 or 5 feet.
Okay. So, is the problem of survivability a question of the type of plants used? I mean, if you go and buy nursery stock, they're not liable to be able to survive in that area, because whereas if you use field grown stock, cedars and that kind of stuff, their survival tends to improve. I'm not a landscaper or an arborist, but that's been my experience on the commission. So I think you guys need to think about this a little more. I think it's doable to do a restoration and get stuff, not everything up to 5 feet, but I think you want stuff. I don't want to see a whole lot of time spent and you end up with 1 gallon plants that are 4 inches tall. That doesn't really restore the buffer. So those are my only comments.
Kevin?
No comments, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Ron?
No comments. I'm all set. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Russ?
Yeah, just one question for Mr. Searles. How long would it take for this stuff to grow back that you were talking about, the stuff that is rooted in? I mean, is it 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years? Any idea?
The wild grape can grow approximately 1 to 3 feet a year. So yeah, I would say probably to be fully back, it would probably take 2, maybe 3 full growing seasons to look as if it was never touched. Last year this happened, it was late summer, early fall. We did already start to see some new growth popping back up on this plant material, which is when this all started to come, as a plan of, I think this would be our best plan versus excavating or treating and causing any other potential erosion issues. But I think between 2 to 3 years, it would be fully grown back.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Jen, what's the staff's recommendation at this point?
Staff's recommendation is to have a planting plan to restore this with native shrubs and not allow the invasives just to grow back. Again, if the board allows this to happen, you are opening an huge can of worms. So my recommendation is a planting plan, and at least to try to restore that buffer.
Okay, so procedurally, are you looking for a planting plan under an enforcement order, or are we looking at a continuance to create a planting plan if the homeowners want to follow your staff's recommendation? Do you know what I'm asking?
Yeah, I mean, I would ask Jonathan, if you and I have not had the opportunity to speak about this. I have not spoken to Jonathan Searles either about this project recently, so we would like the opportunity to speak with the property owners' representatives. If they still feel that this is their best way forward, just to turn the back on a violation, that's fine. The board can decide to require a planting plan within an enforcement order at that point, but at least give the staff the opportunity to talk to the applicant's representatives. Because this is the first I've heard about, we're just going to let it grow back.
Alyssa?
Also, in the meantime, if the homeowners were acceptable, the commission can make a site visit and see the sites for themselves.
So can I ask a question procedurally? Hasn't this been continued multiple times?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
We were initially waiting for...
We're waiting for a survey.
Hold Alyssa, continue.
We were initially waiting for a survey. The homeowners were very proactive in contracting with an engineer. We needed to know where your jurisdiction began and ended, so we knew what we were looking at and how much restoration the commission would like to require.
Okay. Courtney?
If we're gonna have a planting plan, I'd want to see a methodology as well.
All right. Mr. Berkey started to speak.
I was just, excuse me, I was just adding, Alyssa filled in. The delay was because of waiting for a survey.
Thank you. All right. Where are we at?
Jonathan, do you want to request a continuance for the opportunity to meet with staff, or are you going
Yes.
to take your chances that this board just requires that planting plan?
No, I would like the opportunity to discuss with staff.
Okay, when would you like a continuance to?
I think that
You
would
have April 2nd or April 16th.
well, either of those are fine for me. So if April 2nd is filling up, we're happy to go April 16th. It certainly won't affect me coming and meeting with you before then.
Yep, let's go with April 2nd.
Sure.
Okay.
At the request of the applicant, I move that we continue this hearing until April the 2nd.
Driscoll second.
All right. Last call, questions or comments before we vote on the continuance. All right. We're voting to continue this until April 2nd. Courtney?
Bird eye.
Kevin?
O'Brien, aye.
Ron?
Driscoll aye.
Russ?
Robbins, aye.
Steve?
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous with this quorum. We have continued this until April 2nd. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Just
you.
to clarify, just to clarify the record, this is for both properties, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
Correct.
Okay.
Because we opened them as one. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, continued hearings under an enforcement order. Jane Fur, 2622 and 0 Shoreview Avenue. Map and parcel ID is 39-02C-000-504 Falmouth, Mass. Unpermitted removal of salt marsh vegetation and unpermitted construction of a deck within conservation jurisdiction. Jen or Alyssa, I'm not sure.
Jen is promoting Tom Bunker right now, who I believe is representing the property owner. Is that correct, Tom? Okay.
That is correct.
Is there anyone else we're promoting?
No, I think it's just me.
Okay.
Okay, so let's start with staff because it's an enforcement order. So Jen?
I'll hand it over to Alyssa.
Thank you. So as noted in the staff report, there were 2 violations that staff discovered on these 3 contiguous properties, all owned by the same homeowner. Specifically on 26 Shoreview, when reviewing aerial photos, it is evident that the back deck to the home was reconstructed between the 2016 and 2017 near map aerial photos. It was enlarged and it's within the zone A to a salt marsh. Since there are no permits on this nor building permits, the staff is requesting that a restoration plan is developed to determine if the deck is moving closer, and hopefully if not, that we can approve it after the fact with the appropriate amount of mitigation plantings. The larger violation on these properties, as noted through the various photos in your staff report, is the mowing and degradation of the large salt marsh, more so identified on 22 and 0 Shoreview. This area was part of an enforcement order back in 2016 for restoration on the site. The enforcement order was very clear in only allowing a 5-foot path from the backyard of 26 Shoreview crossing 22 onto 0 to allow for water access. The remainder of the salt marsh was to be allowed to grow back, and areas cleared in the BVW and buffer were to be replanted. That was conducted. However, as seen in the aerial photos, staff is unclear as to the exact reasons, but the salt marsh, the actual resource area, has been maintained. It appears mowing. Staff was on site in 22 and attached some of those photos, which coincide with a mechanical means of maintaining the salt marsh area. Also, that 5-foot path from the backyard of 26 Shoreview through 22 and onto the water has also increased and decreased in size. Staff has been in contact with the property owner over the years to ask for remediation on the site, and ultimately we brought the matter to the commission to seek requirements to restore what can be restored and to allow the salt marsh to either grow back if the commission sees fit or to require restoration. Staff did briefly speak with Tom yesterday. He is taking on the project as he did the site plan during the 2016 enforcement. So I'll turn it over to him if he has any comments at this time.
Thank you. I don't really have any comments this time, except we're about to start. I think when Alyssa and Jen and I talked, I'll jump right ahead to, saying we'll need a continuance because we haven't updated our survey yet to current conditions. They suggested having a meeting or having a continuance for about 4 weeks, which time we can we'll have the survey done, we'll have the plan of existing conditions done. I'm not sure how much further we'll have, but we will have the baseline information at that time, and that if we will be preparing a planting plan for that. Or whatever else staff wants us to do. So I'll keep in touch with staff and keep them apprised of progress as they go along and do whatever they say.
All right. Questions or comments from the commission? Alyssa, you guys all right with the continuance to get a plan together? And
yes, I had requested a month. I understand that Tom might require more time, but to at least require an update as to where we are in 1 month, just so this doesn't get away from us.
that makes sense. Courtney?
Tom, how long realistically do you think you need?
I don't think I need much more than that. We have, as was said, we've worked on this property. We have a good background as of a few years ago for the plans that we did. We did the plan when some of the other mitigation planting was done. And so it's not going to take a lot more survey to get that in. So by a month, I think we'd be pretty far along, but I don't think we'd be complete. It might just be a couple more weeks after that.
Okay. Thanks.
So let's do the month and see where we are.
Sounds good. There's no other questions. I'll make a motion to that.
What do we have for a date, Jen?
April 16th.
At the request of the applicant, I move that we continue this hearing until what was it, 16th?
Yes, Courtney.
Yeah, of April.
Driscoll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to continue this matter until April 16th. Last call, questions or comments? Voting on the continuance, Courtney?
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin?
O'Brien, aye.
Ron?
Driscoll, aye.
Russ?
Robbins, aye.
Steve?
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have continued this until April 16th. Thank you, Mr. Bunker.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
See you in a
Thanks,
month
Tom.
or so.
You can come back sooner. We're okay with that.
Okay,
Just not for this.
I'll find something.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Don't give us too much idle time.
Will
All
do.
right. Next up, vote orders of conditions. First up, Richard Setti, 64 Edgewater Drive East, East Falmouth, Mass.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
The quorum is all of us here.
Small deck off the front, no big deal.
Oh, this is
Steve has
Mr.
spoken.
Collins's project. Small addition in the front of the house, mitigation in the back. Alyssa, did we receive a revised plan the day after?
We
George is
did.
gonna send us.
He's corrected mitigation to 4 feet on center, and he's added the salt marsh buffer
Perfect.
and delineation.
Yep, and did he add the drywall?
Forgot to look at that part. I think he was talking about perhaps tying it into the existing system depending on what happened.
Okay.
I might have
Is that a
froze.
gas line? Yeah.
Oh, I think we just lost Alyssa. She was having,
Oh.
oh, there she's back.
He's
unfrozen.
I
in that-
realized it. I'm sorry, my internet's not great. He might be tying it into the existing system. He wasn't quite sure yet.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anything anybody want to see in there? All right. What are you thinking?
I'll make a motion to grant an order of conditions as discussed.
Driscoll second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to issue an order of conditions. Last call. Questions, comments, or input? We're voting to issue an order of conditions. Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Ron,
Driscoll, aye.
Russ,
Robbins, aye.
Steve.
And I,
It is unanimous. We have issued an order of conditions. Next up, Nathan Pieri, 196 Metoxet Road, East Falmouth, Mass.
Yes, this is for, this is a house project. The board has seen it in past, but it is, house, it's going up on, I guess, low profile pilings, but it is being raised, to, above the velocity zone. They've kind of moved it a tad further back from the coastal bank. They need to remove all of the unpermitted outhauls they have over there. And our only concern was the oak tree next to, I believe, the house. They're insisting that they're going to try to save that. That would be great if they can. But staff is well aware that it might be removed. Alyssa had her hand up and she's frozen, but maybe we can still hear her. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
She's back.
Alyssa.
Wasn't the best time for my internet to act up now that we're here.
Yeah.
It was just to readjust the limit of work off the top of the bank and into the buffer.
So we'll get a revised plan from Mike with the readjusted limit of work.
This is a good plan. I mean, it's like the last one with the improvements that we were kind of hoping for. Procedurally, this order of conditions would supersede the last order. I always forget because we don't do that often. Okay. All right, Courtney.
I think we should just have a condition in there that if the oak can't be saved, that they plant another tree.
Mitigate. Yeah.
You know, with a certain caliper. As long as that's in there, that's fine.
I do think this probably could have been an amendment. I'm not quite sure why Mike filed the notice, but I think he probably just thought because they were using part of the old house in the first design, and then this is
Right.
an entirely new structure. He felt probably safer going the notice route, but I think in the presentation, they just couldn't make the older part of the house work with the newer addition with the new building code.
Yeah.
Well, I like this process. It was cleaner. I mean, I know it, the effort that the owner and the engineer puts in, but it's just much cleaner for us to deal with. I mean, and you saw that because that hearing lasted like 3.5 minutes. So, so it's appreciated if you're listening, Mike or Mr. Pieri. All right. Anything anybody want to see in there different or additional? All right.
So I'll make a motion to issue an order of conditions as discussed.
Driscoll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to issue an order of conditions. Last call. We're voting. Courtney.
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Ron.
Driscoll, aye.
Russ.
Robbins, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have issued an order of conditions. Next up, Catherine M. Truman, 78 Benjamin Nyes Lane, North Falmouth, Mass.
This was the invasive removal project by Patera Ecological, Lindsay from Patera Ecological, with some landscape improvements and I believe a new parking. Yeah, new little parking area over on Benjamin Nye. I think the only concern was the amount of shrubs that Patera was initially proposing. I think it will require more shrubs, but we can work with Lindsay and her team once they get all the invasives removed.
Fair enough. Melissa?
Nothing else to add at this time. She made all the other corrections.
Excellent. Anything anybody want to see in there additional or different? All right. What are you thinking?
I'll make
Oh, and I'm sorry. Wait. Ron is not on this quorum. Sorry.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead, Court.
I'll make a motion to issue an order of conditions as discussed. Need a second.
It's got to be somebody else.
Yeah, I'm not on it, right?
Correct.
Second, Patton.
Second.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second to issue an order of conditions. Last call for questions or comments. We're voting to issue an order of conditions. Courtney.
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Russ.
Robbins, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. With this quorum, we have issued an order of conditions. Next up is to vote amended order of conditions. First up, Joseph G. Mirazola, trustee. Joseph G. Mirazola, Revocable Trust, 2018, 15 Moses Road.
This is to allow the stairs that were built larger and closer to the resource area to remain. And I think the board had some discussion about whether it was necessary from a safety standpoint to have the stairs in this location, or if it was done for some sort of aesthetic reason. So what would the board like to do?
Remind me, what was the staff's opinion of where the seawall is?
Well, I mean,
I'm sorry, the patio wall. I don't know if to call it a seawall. The wall I'm talking about.
What was the question, Jamie? You were going in and out. I apologize. Sorry.
What's your take on the proximity to that wall, the Coastal line of the coastal bank.
The wall is the coastal bank and it is moving closer to the coastal bank.
The wall is the coastal bank?
Yeah, the wall is that vertical. The wall is
Okay.
actually the top of your bank because your beach is right there. So it is moving closer to the beach by, I think, was it, Alyssa,
A half a foot.
yeah, something like that.
Which sounds minimal, but
Yeah.
it's the width of the stairway. It's not the run. So it's, from my perspective, it's not a safety thing. It was an oversight, I would say, that somebody just wasn't following the plan. I don't know. I'm not throwing anybody under the bus in that regard, but I mean, you guys have heard me before saying, you know, I like a good run on a stairway that, you know, that promotes safety, but this has nothing to do with it. It's just, they just made it wider. So,
Oh, yeah, I know this one, yeah.
Well, you know,
so go ahead, Courtney.
My inclination is that the wider stairway is not what was on the plan, and it should be cut back. We shouldn't allow it. They could easily, if it's 4 feet wide rather than 5, they can still meet code on egress. So I think we should require it to be brought to code. I think we start setting precedents that I'm concerned about.
Well, yeah. So just
Sorry
to
to
be
be a
clear,
curmudgeon on this.
Russ,
no, I gotta agree with Courtney. I went over from my own curiosity and measured everything up. You got 42 inches on the inside, post to post. Actually, it's from it's an inch and a quarter round grab rail on the inside, and it's about 42 inches. So I think they could, I believe the number was 8 inches. It was over, right? It should have been
correct.
5'8", and it's actually 5 feet right now. I agree with Courtney. You keep letting this happen. It just, you know, it gradually creeps and creeps and creeps. And I think they can come up with that 8 inches. And if you look at the building plan, it even shows that deck flush with that back wall. So, and if you measure that, that's 11 inches over. So, I think they should have to make it right.
Okay, so just so you know, procedurally, what we're gonna want is a motion and a second to issue an order of conditions. And then if you don't agree with it, you're gonna vote against it, just to be clear.
Correct.
And, you know, so again, just so we're clear. Courtney?
Just one question to confirm. Code is a minimum of 3 feet clear inside rail to wall. Is that correct? I mean,
Well,
that's what it used to be. I just want to make sure.
it's 36 wall to wall or post to post, and then the handrail's allowed to be inside of that.
So in other words, the reason I'm asking is that they certainly have plenty of room to make a stairway that meets code. Am I correct? Okay.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Anything anybody want to see in there? All right. What are you thinking?
I'll make a motion to issue an order of conditions as discussed. That's positive. That's an approval motion. So if we want to vote it down, you just vote no.
Correct.
All right. Steve, did I hear you second? Thank you. I was speaking over you. We have a motion and a second to issue an order of conditions. Last call. Questions or comments? We're voting to issue an order of conditions. Courtney?
Bird, no.
Matthews, no. Kevin?
No.
Ron?
No.
Russ?
Robbins, no.
Steve?
Pat, no.
It is unanimous. We have, I don't know the term to use, we denied an order of conditions.
Yeah.
Denied amended order of conditions, correct?
Pardon me.
So
All
their,
right.
so their option is to come back to us with a corrected plan and,
Well,
or new order of conditions with a correct plan that we can approve.
no, they can just fix it and then ask for compliance.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right, next up, we're still under amended order of conditions. Laura Torme, 10 Circle Road, Falmouth, Mass.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is to rebuild a deck and a little kind of beach house shack that's on the deck, to rebuild it in basically in kind and to remove an unpermitted section. So they're bringing it back to the original Chapter 91 approved license configuration.
Yep. Alyssa,
She's frozen.
all right, we'll come back to Alyssa. Anybody else? Questions, comments, or input?
Make a motion to issue an
Yes.
order of conditions
Oh.
as discussed.
Driscoll second.
We didn't give Alyssa a chance. Hold on. Alyssa, do you have anything you want to add?
I missed out of it. It's okay. Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to issue an order of conditions as discussed. Last call, questions or comments? We're voting to issue an order of conditions. Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Ron,
Driscoll aye.
Russ,
Robbins, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
All right, before you get all excited, we have two things to throw at you. First off, just a reminder, there's no meeting next week. And Jen has something she'd like to share with us.
Yes. There is no meeting next week, but you do have your regulatory review meeting on Thursday, starting
Jen
at 3:30.
Two things to add.
What day is that of the week?
Thursday at 3:30, Courtney, we have the regulation.
No, I know.
review
What day of the week?
20th.
Thursday.
No, I understand. Date, like
The 20th.
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 Okay, thank you.
20th. There's no hearing next Wednesday, but you do have a review on Thursday. And the only thing I wanted
I
to
just wanted to
add,
make sure I didn't have a contact.
it's okay. I'll remind you next week, Court. So this board had an executive session a few weeks ago to discuss with the 300 committee and the Compact of Cape Cod about purchasing a particular property. We have learned from the 300 committee this week that the property owner has withdrawn his offer to sell. There was little explanation, so therefore we will not be submitting an application to the CPC at this time. If there's any additional information received by the 300 committee, I will inform this board. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you. Oh, and the 300 committee would like to thank the commission for working with them, working with the compact, and considering the proposal. So
And
that's
that's
all
the
I have, Mr. Chairman.
important part of that message.
Yes, that is
All
the
right.
important part.
Last motion, who wants it?
Mr. Chair, as Vice Chair, resident curmudgeon, and senior member of this commission, I move that we adjourn.
Driscoll second.
Bird eye.
Simple. Matthews, aye.
O'Brien, aye.
Driscoll aye.
Robbins, aye.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.